unions are a thing of the past. Now you're going to be like, what? And I got some arguments and I got some data to actually fact check all of this. So, why do I think that unions are a thing of the past? Because let's look at what a viewer wrote in. Unions will be gone in a few years. Robots will eat up all the jobs, and even with union contracts, they will get fired because those companies will declare bankruptcy. Buyouts from new will dismantle everything about the workers, or robots will build new ports, etc., or bring it in from Mexico, driven by robots in EV vehicles at 18 cents a mile. Doesn't matter how hard unions fight, it's inevitable. So, and this got me thinking, and so I kind of went down the rabbit hole of unions. And there was a union in 1945 that was for in 1945, a strike by the Elevator Operators Union in New York led to the shift in the elevator industry and the automation of elevators. So there were elevator drivers just like this, and these people were actually unionized. And so they were like, this can't be right. So they started forming a union, and people said, oh, I don't want to drive the elevator by myself, do all that. And now, 80 years later, we cannot think of having an elevator driver. It's just not something we think about. We think it's normality. If you go in an elevator, you click the button and you're done. So there is no way that you would think that an elevator driver is still necessary. And so innovation is just around the corner. And now I'm wondering, in today's day, we're like, all these port workers are like so crucial and we're fighting for them. In 100 years, are we still going to think, or 80 years down the line, are we still going to think that this is as important as elevator drivers, or is nobody going to talk about it? And I think nobody's going to talk about it. And here we go. Chicago Union opens drive against automatic elevators. So, and here we go, another one. How a historic strike paved the way for the automated elevator and what those lessons could mean for self-driving cars. And so then this article goes about saying, hey, these strikes and all this other stuff didn't really prevent the automation. It basically paved the way of moving forward faster. And now, why do I think that these unions are obsolete? So if you are a executive, you're a team leader, you're way above you're on top of the food chart when it comes to the organization. You are the C-suite executives, and you're looking at it, and we have multiple strikes going on right now. As you can see, the map that I have that is going on right now. And let's look at an article from the labor statistics talking about this. So, data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that 458,900 workers were involved in a major work stoppage in 2023. Those numbers of workers involved in major work stoppages increased by 280% in 2023, returning to levels last seen prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So these strikes include workers across the country, from automotive workers, Hollywood writers, actors, nurses, public school teachers. And I'm just like, okay, these unions are just trying to hold on for dear life. And one thing that these people don't think about when they go on strike is, and that I have not heard, is that these Boeing workers are on strike right now. So let's check out what they're doing, because there's going to be a crucial part. So make sure we watch this together.
Boeing workers, they are unionized and they are now on strike this morning. More than 33,000 machinists walked off the job just hours ago after contract talks fell through. This is the latest in a series of crises at that company, Boeing.
We are now several hours into this strike that will essentially halt Boeing production lines in the Pacific Northwest. That includes the 737 MAX line, which is critical to Boeing's efforts to financially right the ship and turn the corner here. Also impacted the 767 line and the 777 line. Now, Boeing machinists overwhelmingly rejected this new contract. Nearly 95% of workers voted to reject this deal that Boeing had called the most lucrative ever presented to the union, and they walked off the job at 12:01 a.m. Pacific time. The tentative deal included a 25% wage increase for all employees, a $3,000 lump sum signing bonus payment, enhanced retirement plans, lowered employee health care costs, plus 12 weeks of paid paternal leave. It also included a major union demand, building the next new airplane in the Puget Sound area with union workers. But those concessions were not enough for the Boeing machinists, who were seeking a 40% raise and a return of their pensions. The pension issue is a no-go for the company, but Boeing says it is dedicated to resetting its relations with employees and the union. The company says it is ready to get back to the table and try to find a deal.
So this video was done in mid-September or early September, and it's been 30 days now since these people striked and been on strike. And now they're all gonna face a huge dilemma. What's the dilemma? They're gonna lose their health insurance. Boeing has cut healthcare coverage of 30,000 workers, 33,000 actually, if it workers and their families as machinist union strikes. So all these people that have been working on the strike, so-called, because they get money from the union, because you pay your dues, so they got some sort of payment. And now Boeing is saying, you know what? You keep striking, and we are now going to just cut your health care. And that works all great if you're 30 and have no pre-existing condition, you don't really have a family, you're single, and you're at great health. And if you have a spouse that's a stay-at-home spouse and you have kids, those need healthcare, especially when you have kids. It can get very expensive very quickly. And I can't even say how many because you need health insurance. It's not a want, it's a need. I know there's stuff with high deductibles, it's like not having it, but if catastrophic hits, you need health insurance. And so all these 33,000 people are losing, as of yesterday, their health insurance. So now you're like, hey, this is not good. So now we're looking at these port strikes, and it's just a matter of time till these people also lose their health insurance. And these companies always have a carrot over you and say, hey, come back to the job. And now it's going to be interesting to see who's going to come back to work when they have the healthcare carrot over your stick, because you need to have health insurance if you have pre-existing conditions. If you're sick, if you have a spouse that is not doing well and needs treatment, you cannot just say, hey, you're going to say, I'm done. This is all I can do. Back to work. And that is just one thing in the little wheel of strike turning radius, or whatever you want to call it, in the little cycle of the strike, right? Because once you're gonna say, hey, we're gonna stop doing work, we're gonna do this, and we've been on strike for a month, that's gonna say, hey, these machinists, how can we do this differently? And then you're thinking about, what are other companies doing? Oh, they're moving their stuff to Mexico. So what do? You stop the contract. You say, you know what, we're not going to reach an agreement. Either you come to the work to these agreements, or then we're going to go to our partner in the South. And I looked yesterday and I saw that all these ports on the Gulf Coast for these longshoremen's unions can also be serviced in Mexico. Because Mexico is always, when something's wrong in the United States, Mexico is always there to open their arms. And I don't fault them to do that. And then they're like, hey, just bring the stuff in. Just bring the stuff in. And with these people in Mexico, they're just going to be like, hey, we just make 3 shifts and we ship it across the border. We have free trading agreements. So we're going to be good. So who's really hurting after that? Because it's going to be all these people that threw these tantrums and wanted more money. And I don't fault them for that. And who's going to win? Mexico, because they don't care. They can work 24/7 and they just put the ships in these ports and be done. And I know that they're going to be a capacity and whatnot, But hey, alternative solutions. When you have crisis, you need to think creatively. And one of these is just rerouting them. Just reroute the ships. And now you're going to be like, oh, it's going to cost a little bit more. Yeah, maybe. But hey, now you're going to look at it, if I'm going to reroute my ships to Mexico, I get cheaper labor, I probably get more favorite conditions, and I can just import the stuff free to the United States. And when you're Boeing, you're thinking probably like, I could probably build that manufacturing plant down there, what I've probably already crossed my mind, and actually just start now and not budge. And I can say now, as Boeing, probably wouldn't negotiate and would say, nope, you're going to meet our conditions. And if you don't want it, we're good. And you're going to look at in Mexico how to source these products, how to come up with this, and have a great plan. That's what you need to do as a leader of a company, because the company's business is not to keep the workers there, right? The company's main sole purpose is to create revenue and to create profits for its shareholders. And it's not a charity where these people come and just work. It's a byproduct of it. And that's what I love. I love that you, as a company owner, can offer people salaries that they can come for work for you and create a living and create a great product. But when you, as a company owner and as a huge organization, have a bunch of options on the table, you have the whole world as your playground, because these companies are huge, massive. And when you have massive amounts of money, you have massive amounts of possibilities. And me, as a small little fish in a pond, I don't have that many options. And you, as a worker, don't have that many options. You have to relocate, do whatever to get the best job possible. And me, the same. I have the same thing. And if I want to get the most amount, the best workers, I need to find these people for a decent price so I can still make a profit, because I am a small fish in a very big pond. And now I'm looking at it like, okay, if all these people are going to walk off the job and striking, at one point the union's going to say, we cannot keep doing this. There's always the breaking point where they're going to say, hey, we paid we paid out enough and we can't do it. And it's not that I don't like the concept of unions. I think they're great. But when you're looking at that, so many people were on strike for one reason or another, it's just not great for the customers and that for the consumer either. And now you're like, well, teachers and nurses should not be on strike because they should be paid a fair living wage. They should. But it's the microeconomics of these companies, of these conditions that they're doing. So when you are in if you're in a teachers union, you get awarded money from the government, local government, federal government. And during COVID, I made a video about it and said that grants are going to dry up. And I do deeply think that teachers get paid a lot of money, because these teachers are educating our next generation. But the marketplace doesn't allow that for some reason or another to not pay them the fair living wage. And I am not in control of the fair market. I cannot control what the market bears for a product or not. It's a supply and demand type deal. And if there's a huge surplus in teachers and not enough, and if there's no teachers, then they got to come up and do something about it. And that is why I've seen job post listings on LinkedIn before this walk for teachers at private schools making $100,000+. But you got to be really good at your job, and you need to know a lot to make that kind of money. And not just some high school and what is it, somewhat of a college degree, some liberal arts degree, and then go teach math. No, these people want, if you're going to work for a private college or a private, not private college, if you want to teach for a private school, you got to bring the credentials. And when you have all these union contract negotiations. It's just going to be interesting to see where this all ends up. I wish you guys the best of luck, and hopefully you guys get the conditions you guys want. But one thing I can tell you guys 100% is you guys are not going to get favorable conditions. And automation, you cannot stop automation, because that part of the automations where I said you're gonna get money, yeah, they'll throw you money, but automation is inevitable. And when I'm looking at, I watched a video yesterday of these China ports where these people are just sitting in computers, have like 6 monitors and just joysticks. And I personally think that that is the future, and not them actually going out and doing stuff. I think that that is coming, where one operator can operate 4 or 5 cranes at the same time with automation, checking things, and maybe they have 1 or 2 field people out there to do that. But automation is coming, and I can guarantee you that it's coming in every industry. You see it with emails, you see it with elevators, you see it across the room, across the board, everything. And do I like it? I don't know yet. I don't know. And is it something different? Sure is, but it is inevitable. It is just coming, and you got to either adapt or you're gonna die. It's like the predator and what you call it's like nature versus nurture. You just got to either adapt or you die. And if you're old enough to retire, you retire and say, I'm done. I put my work in, I'm done. And you retire and you say, now they can do whatever they want and I don't have to worry about it. And that is your right to do that. But if you're not in a position like that to retire, then you can't do it. And so all these people are going to be faced with some major challenges of automation in the future. And we're going to see how all of this is going to play out. I want to hear your thoughts. If you want to send me an email, go in the about section of my profile, shoot an email. And if you're looking for a job, also shoot me an email, because Ali's coaching program is holding in a free event today. So shoot me an email if you're interested and looking and can't find it. So this was it for this video. Go follow me and connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe to this video to see even more. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And we'll chat about something else. It was a nice day in Las Vegas. And it has been still hot. It's fall coming in. And yeah, you're going to see me with jacket on coming up here, because it is also going to get chilly. So let me know if you guys have any questions. And I'll see you guys in the next one.